Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we're joined by my friend Melanie Sanders. You've seen her on Bell Collective. You've seen her on American Idol. You have seen her all over her clients, the PR professional, graduate of Warren Central High School, graduate of Spelman College. Melanie Sanders, we thank you so much for joining us today. This is our college and career readiness class here at Belmont Jackson, and we are recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, all of our juniors and seniors, and for our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for taking a few minutes for us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am honored. So, you guys just ask whatever you want. Of course, it is.
Cool.
I'm an open book.
All right. So, but before we get into your college and your career, which a lot of us have seen, you went to Warren Central High School, and you were involved in a lot of stuff because a lot of kids think that because they're doing this or they're doing that in high school that they have to just focus on that. But I think you put on a clinic of how to do everything because you were involved in sports and music and just and a lot of other things as well.
Yeah, I did. I was really fortunate to be able to do a lot more than just attend class. I was involved in all of the school clubs, definitely sports. That was a major outlet for me. And then outside of that, I was a part of my church choir and involved in the community. So I made sure that I did as much as I could because I enjoyed getting to know people and various experiences. So that's kind of what got me started and kind of propelled me into adulthood too, because I had that foundation of different experiences, which gave me things to think about, what I wanted to do for us.
Yeah, and then you graduated Warren Central. I won't tell your age, but you made a decision to go to college at Spelman, which people watching don't know it's a great HBCU. They're part of the Atlanta Consortium, but that is not where your parents wanted you to go. And it wasn't the most popular choice among your family, even though they did still support you. But you made a decision based on what you wanted and what you saw your career going, and not based on family legacy, what so many young people do. So, what went into that decision? Because your family was all Jackson State for generations, and you made the decision for your career and your college career to go to Spelman in Atlanta.
Well, you know what? I'm the fact that you even know that is just amazing to me because that's true. I think that all parents are nervous about their children going off to school. So they want you to be closer to home. But I was blessed with the option and the opportunity to attend Spelman. And, my parents, my father went to Harvard, my mother is a Jackson State graduate. And then we even have some Alcornites in there too now, my grandmother and grandfather. So we have different, universities and different schools that people attended. But for me, Spelman was the choice. And I didn't even know if I was going to get into Spelman. I was really intimidated by it because it was the number one HBCU in the country. And everybody that attends Spelman is the creme de la creme. That's what we like to boast as Spelmanites and alum, But to be able to attend was an honor. And my parents let me go. And that's a blessing because I was able to do so much more beyond college, but college was the focus. That's what brought me there. So I was really glad. And you do have to make sure that you pick a university or college or school, period, that's tailored to what your interests are, not what your parents are telling you. You have to do this, you have to do that. Talk to them, let them know your interests, prove, hey, this is why I want to go to this university. This is why I want to go to this college or school. And then hopefully they'll understand. But now also let me say, if you get a full ride, if you get a scholarship, I'm thinking it's probably hard to keep them from saying no. If you're getting the grades and you got a full ride. I didn't get a full ride, but I did pageants and all that kind of stuff, which helped with my scholarships too.
Yeah, and we'll get to the pageants. Yeah, we'll get to the pageants in a second because obviously we got to talk about that. But you also looked at you wanted to be in the PR world. That's always been a goal of yours, and you knew Atlanta would be a better spot for that. It's nothing against Jackson State because it's a great school, and there's other great schools in Mississippi as well. But with what you wanted to do with your career, you thought Atlanta would be the best place for you, and it's obviously paid off.
That's right. Atlanta, and then also I have to say this. I didn't even realize that I was
into PR at that time. I fell into it because of the experiences that I had in Atlanta, but I wanted to be a singer. And what better place to be a singer than be in Atlanta, Georgia, where everything was going on? And I'm not going to tell you my age since we decided not to do that. But during my era in Atlanta, I had Usher, Young Jeezy, all of those people were dropping their most popular albums at that time. So Atlanta was bustling. I mean, this was just the mecca at that time. So it was just a perfect fit for me. So that's another reason why Spelman was the top of the list, because Atlanta, So Def was really big then. You know, it is now, but at that time they had all the artists, so it just made sense.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you did mention your pageants, and a cool thing about you is you grew up in Vicksburg, where the Miss Mississippi pageant is held every year.
Yes.
And you were there when Tony Seawright became the first Black Miss Mississippi in 1987,
Yes, Tony.
which was
yes, indeed.
So obviously that was a big influence for you, and you went on to compete and were in the top 5 or top 3 in Miss Mississippi, and then went on to become Miss
Yes.
Atlanta. You went on to become Miss Atlanta in 2005 and compete in Miss Georgia. And, you know, we've had a couple other pageant contestants on here in the past. And I think, you know, if some of these young ladies are interested in getting into the pageants, it's not all about the looks. There is so much more involved. There's interviews, there's talents, there's community service, and there is so much scholarship money involved and ways to get a platform and network.
That's exactly right. And I think that what you said is
so true. For anybody who's interested in doing pageants or anything,
research and find out what it's about.
What are the benefits of
you doing it? And for me, it was a state of improvement just across the board, because pageants, to me, as you said, it's not about looks. This is about
preparing you for the future. And people don't even realize that each stage of competition mirrors real life. You got the interview competition. Okay, so we're interviewing right now, right? You have the platform. The platform is what you're passionate about and what you can go out in the community and talk about. And also going back to interview, most importantly, jobs. You have to be able to stand out in an interview. And I think that people, they don't realize how important they are until you get in front of an employer or somebody, and it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I do it? Evening gown and fitness, that's about presentation. That's about how people perceive you, the way the public will look at you. Those aspects of competition are not just for entertainment purposes. That's real life, and those skills are well, they get an advantage because they are practicing, and that becomes a part of their life. And so when they go in the real world, they're a little polished and ready. I will say that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to come back to that very point, and I'm glad you mentioned that.
Okay.
Now, after your pageant time, you were on the first season of American Idol, which you were on there with Kelly Clarkson, Paula Abdul, Randy Jackson, Simon Cowell, the whole bunch. So, you know, tell us about that, because you used that to kind of propel yourself into the entertainment industry.
I know, and let me tell you, I wasn't even going to do American Idol. Let me just tell you how it all came about. My mother, at that time when I was in school, she would send me care packages and envelopes with newspaper clippings and all that kind of stuff, and kind of kept me abreast of what was going on back home and just all over the world, really. You know, that's just something that she did for me. And she sent me a clipping of American Idol. It was auditions. And I was like, what is that? Didn't even really know what it was. So I decided to go down there. All I know is I love to sing. That's what I knew. That's what I wanted to do. So I went to the auditions, which were downtown. And the morning of, I had finals that week, right? The finals that I was preparing for, they were in my book bag, right? My book bag was actually in my car, and my car got broken into. And they took my books and stole them. Now, I realized that before I'm on my way to this audition. So my mind was all over the place, right? So I had to deal with that. But when I got downtown, I saw the line. And I was like, what is this? It was, when I tell you it was pandemonium, and I'm thinking, did I miss a memo? I don't even know what this is. So to make a long story short, I ended up, auditioning, and I went on to another part of the competition, which they said was the Hollywood round. And that was the next day. And when I got there, I heard them say Paula Abdul. Now, I grew up loving Paula Abdul. So when I heard she was going to be my next judge, I was like, what? And then these other two people, Simon Cowell and Randy Jackson, didn't know who they were, but I was like, I just want to see Paula Abdul, you know. So I ended up going on to the next round, and next thing I know, I'm getting a plane ticket, and I'm going out to California for this TV show. And that's when everything just, it was just, we were out there for 2 weeks. People don't even know. In American Idol, the real world part of it is that you are auditioning and working for weeks before people see you on TV. And so that was grueling. But guess what? Pageants had me prepared for that, because there is no competition I've ever been in that was more grueling than a pageant. So it prepared me for American Idol. Easy.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to, you know, that's what I want to talk about next, is because, you know, you have a PR firm. You've worked with some, you know, you've been on Bell Collective on the OWN network. You've worked with Vivica Fox, Denny Leaks, you know, just some big names. But it's not just rubbing shoulders with celebrities. The amount of work that goes into the entertainment industry, I don't think these young people understand. It's not just, oh, I have, you know, you know, there is a lot of networking involved, but there is a lot of marketing, there's a lot of sales, and there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of, you know, finances, really knowing the business side of it, because these entertainers have other things to worry about. They going to hire good people to advance their career. So, you know, you did mention about being able to be in an interview. So, I mean, you know, obviously, if you don't want to be a PR person, that's fine, because everybody's not going to be one. But the biggest challenge, and I can speak for all the other teachers that are going to see this later, the biggest challenge we have with these kids is that, you know, obviously you and me can speak in front of thousands of people. And, you know, I've never been really nervous, but I know you aren't either. You've been on live television. But, you know, not being able to sell, not being able to market yourself, not being able to verbally communicate is such a lost art. And that's what these employers are going to be looking for. And that's what goes into the entertainment industry. You've got to be able to write, got to be able to speak.
You said it. And I think that's something that people just miss. They just want to show up and think things will fall into place. You have to plan, you have to prepare, and you have to execute. And that is the thing that most young people miss. They just want things to just happen, and then they figure it out. Always take a beat, take a moment, figure out what exactly am I trying to accomplish here. And then you are able to make a better plan of action. So I do, you are definitely on point. You have to prepare. Let me ask you this real quick. I'm about to jump into another car. Look, we're so impromptu. I hope you don't mind. Can I jump into my car real quick? Because I'm actually with my mom. Hey, Mom, I'm not gonna put on. She said, I'm with my mom. We just came back from the Beyonce concert.
Yeah.
That's where we have been, and I have to tell y'all about that later. But hold on a second. Let me get out of here. I'm gonna pause it just a second, okay?
Sure.
And my picture looks all okay. Now I can really.
All right, so we're back, part two. So, like we were saying, you know, the entertainment industry is so much planning, and even, you know, in any industry, and, you know, the ability to speak, the ability to write, the ability to be professional, you know, these, you know, I like my phone too, that there's so many cool apps, there's so much cool technology, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to sit in an interview in front of an employer and sell yourself of why you are the person for the job. And in your field, sell the consumer on why the person you're representing is the person they need to buy tickets to.
Yes, you could be in PR easily. I mean, and be the top dog, because you explained it perfectly. You know, you have to be able to sell yourself. Sell yourself just like you would sell somebody else. And I have a little motto, you know, create something that the world will remember. That's one of the focuses of my business. You know, what sets me apart, in my opinion, is that I like to create scenarios, events, or personas that people remember. And that goes back to what you were saying. Sometimes you have to get with clients and even businesses and start from the bottom, get their brand together. You know, they may not be able to speak well. They may not be able to write well. Well, those are the things that we're going to work on. We're going to make sure that you are prepared for the public and you are your best self.
Yeah. Now, before I get to the students' questions, one thing I really wanted to hit on is you are an entrepreneur. You and your mother run the PR firm together. And we have a lot of students that want to be entrepreneurs. They say, I want to be my own boss. They see the glamorous side of it. I always think I get cracked up. I'm a huge fan of Jasmine Sullivan, but in her song, she talks about, I'm going to move to Atlanta, start a business and be rich. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
There's so many pros to being a business owner, but the work and the dedication, the attention to detail has to be taken care of. And then we've had some guests lately talk about businesses fail not because people don't have good customer service, not because they aren't hard workers, but they don't pay attention to the accounting and finance side. So if you can be a successful entrepreneur without going to college, if that's what a young person decides to do. We're not trying to persuade people one way or the other. We want to give them options. So if a young person sees this, they say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I don't really want to go to college, that's fine. But what do they need to know and understand when it comes to going into business for yourself?
I think the main thing you need to understand, going into business for yourself means that you are going to work more. You're going to work probably harder than you would working for somebody else. That's something that people do not believe, but I am telling you, I don't know many entrepreneurs who would say something differently. The beauty of it is that you do work for yourself and you create situations, or you create a way to convenience yourself if you can, but that's not going to be all the time. That's a very rare thing. It takes an incredible amount of focus and an incredible amount of work. You may make a lot of money and then you may not make a dime. So you have to have a passion. Entrepreneurship, in my opinion, needs to be for the person who aspires to do something that they are passionate about, because that will heighten your chances of being successful. If you're just trying to make money, if you're just trying to be famous, because some people go into business because they want to promote themselves too. That's a whole nother topic. All of that is fine if that's what you want to do. But I'm telling you, you have to find a passion, and you can't do it because you're trying to be you're trying to get just rich quick, or you're just trying to be popular. Do it and have passion and drive and real true meaning behind it.
Yeah, and really try to solve a problem, because we always say that an entrepreneur needs the customers more than the customer needs the entrepreneur.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And a big mistake and a big mistake I see from teenagers everywhere is they might have a great concept, but they're thinking like a 16-year-old. They're like, I wouldn't pay that much for this. That doesn't mean somebody else won't. So, thinking like that, thinking outside the box and really doing research before you just jump into it on Instagram is not the way to go. Now, I do have a few questions from the students. These are all seniors, and some of these are excellent. The first one is Patricia Evans. Patricia Evans, she's one of our volleyball players.
Patricia.
And she asked, and she is dead set on going to HBCU. She's looking at Texas Southern, Tougaloo, a few others, actually looking at Spelman as well. So she asked, were you only interested in going to HBCUs after high school? And if you were, why would you choose HBCU over PWI?
Well, for me, I was exposed to HBCUs from as far back as I can remember. I was at Jackson State games when I was a 2-year-old. In fact, I was born on the day that Jackson State and Alcorn played, Saturday, November 22nd, 19 or whatever. And so my mom, my aunt, they were Jay said, it's like, we're rooted in HBCUs. However, I said earlier, my father went to Harvard and Emory for law school. So we know those are PWIs, right? But I still did think about Mississippi State. I still did think about Ole Miss because I wanted to possibly stay here in Mississippi and I wanted to experience something new. But I will say this, the benefit of an HBCU for me was thriving amongst people who look like me, but also had my same interests. And then finding and being empowered by people who they may look like you, but they are from different places around the world. That was pretty powerful. It was pretty powerful. And now, granted, you must be able to deal with all people. You must be able to walk into a boardroom and not be spooked because you see people who look the opposite of you. You know, you still need to, but you use the power that you get from being around HBCU or people who look like you and being in an HBCU environment and be empowered, and then take that somewhere else and, you know, learn, be within the cultures of others as well, not just your own. But that's why I decided to stay at an HBCU. And like I said, Spelman, let me just tell you this real quick. The Cosby Show, huge when I was a little girl, right? Hillman, which was a part of a different world, is a fictional Spelman. A lot of people don't realize that. I know you do, but a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So I learned about Spelman early on in life because of that show. And it was a dream of mine to be a part of something that was just so legendary and so full of wealth and history. So I knew I wanted to be in some kind of environment that was like a different world. Sororities. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first, sorority, Black sorority. So I am a part of the culture, in my opinion, but I also want to make sure that I'm a part of other cultures too.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you know, I'm not in the business of telling kids where to go to school, but I do think it's important for them to get all the information. And one thing I've always said is historically Black doesn't mean exclusively Black. And being diverse,
there you go.
And being diverse is not just people of the same race. Well, we have kids here that have said, you know, I've gone to a Black high school. I want to experience different things. You can experience different things at HBCU. Now, if the PWI is the best fit for you because of their programs or scholarships, by all means, we support our kids to go wherever is the best fit for them. And that would be, a community college or four-year university. But it really, I think the diversity of HBCUs is not talked about enough. It is not just one type of people. You know, I know Jackson State right now is really knocking it out of the park with their international population. I think they have 80 countries on campus right now. And
I didn't realize it was that many.
And you look at the master's program at Jackson State with their 1-year programs, really drawing a lot of non-Black students. So it really is a lot more diverse than people realize. So that was some interesting thoughts on that. Just got a couple more. This is Cheyenne Harvey. This is Miss Velma Jackson, one of our cheerleaders and volleyball players. And she asked, what about being an entrepreneur stresses you out the most?
Always being in demand. Being an entrepreneur is, for me, you are a servant to your clientele and to your customer. And as you said it best. What did you say? The entrepreneur needs the customer more than the customer needs the entrepreneur. Like, that's a fact. I hate to even say facts like, you know, there's no other option, but I feel like this is a fact. It's very difficult to always have to be mindful of what you're doing and how it affects other people. I can tell you that I have been very overwhelmed. I've been stressed out. I even wanted to stop. I wanted to quit because I felt like I didn't have my own life anymore. I felt like my life belonged to my clients, and I had to regroup. And once again, guys, you have to tap into your life and your experiences. Get as much experience and do as much as you can so that you can look back and say, you know what, I'm still strong. I can do something a different type of way. Because you've done so many things, you have to remind yourself, okay, wait, I don't have to just do it one way. Let me find out another way. And how you do that is confidence. And confidence comes from experience. Don't be afraid to be in the play. Don't be afraid to sing on the stage. Don't be afraid to go and talk to somebody about being your mentor and showing you how to use this specific machinery or do this particular type of program or whatever. Never be afraid to ask for opportunity to give you experience, because I'm telling you, when you are on when you're having a low day or when you're thinking you don't know how to do something, it's going to come to you. It's going to come to you eventually. But I've had some times. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that kids don't understand when, you know, you're the boss, but that means you have to make every decision. You can't, you know, and you can, there's a lot of people that will hire somebody that thinks like an entrepreneur, but when you are the entrepreneur, the buck stops and ends with you. And I think it's funny. We have a guest here she's the owner of Happy Tummy's GI Clinic in Flowood. She's the, a
Ooh,
groundbreaking Black female doctor. But she said, look, I was never taught how to run a business, and it was a lot more stressful than I thought. She said, in medical school, I
yeah.
learned how to take care of patients. Nobody taught me how to run a business. So,
Oh my God, yes.
at least getting a mentor, learning an industry, it is tough to just jump right into it.
It's so tough. You said a mouthful right there. It's tough because you don't. That's why I said make sure you try to get as much experience as you can, because learning to build a business is a practice. Just like you hear about a doctor having a practice, an attorney having a practice, that goes across the board. You have to get in it and do it. Everything is like that. It's consistency, it's research, it's getting your feet dirty, it's losing a little money, it's all of those things. It's about being scared. It's about being scared. But guess what? I thrive. When I get nervous about something, I get scared. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this though. It kind of excites me. I'm like, why am I scared? Okay, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna tackle it.
All right, this is Tashanti Levy. She's a member of our band. She wants to
Okay.
be a doctor, wants to go HBCU undergrad, and then go to a PWI med school. So she wants to get that mix of the HBCU PWI experience. But she asked, when you were in the Miss Mississippi and Miss Atlanta pageants, what was your biggest inspiration to be successful in the pageants?
Well, Tony C. Wright, Miss Mississippi 1987, who was mentioned earlier by you. That was the inspiration, because I saw a woman who sung like I had never heard before. She was
And still sing
beautiful.
like you would not believe.
And still,
Yes.
yes, is that not true? Oh my gosh, still. I drew inspiration from her because I felt like I can do that. She is the person that I want to be. And I want people to look at me the way I look at her one day, And that's where I drew my inspiration. Also, I went a little bit even beyond that. I feel like I always consider the big picture. To me, I'm like, okay, if I do pageants, what else can come from this? And to me, I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to work with people. I wanted to be in the entertainment industry. And that was the avenue. That was the platform that I said, hey, I can use this, because if I become Miss Mississippi, if I become Miss Vicksburg, if I become Miss Atlanta, if I become a title holder, that's something so unique and different that I can have. And that puts me a little bit ahead of others. And those are, it's not about being conceited. It's not about thinking that you are better or arrogant or anything like that. But always consider yourself important enough to excel and strong enough to do something that will put you in front of the pack. Always think, what can I do to make sure I'm ready to be in front of the pack and that I am in front of the pack? So those were the things that were going on. And I attribute that. My parents are who helped me prepare for life and for the pageants and for entertainment and all that. They made me practice. They made me realize that I wasn't as great as I thought I was. And what do I need to do to make sure that I feel like I did a good job? That's the thing. Stop thinking that you are just, oh, I'm the best. You may be, but always stay humble, because let me tell you, your best day can turn into your worst day instantly. Okay. I got stories for days. Oh, y'all, call me anytime. We can talk about stories for all.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because as successful as you were coming from Vicksburg, which is a small town, it's easy to get in a bubble. You go to a big city, you're exposed to, I always say there's 1,000 people that want the spot you want. So how do you set yourself apart? So, we had some brilliant kids here at all the other schools as well, but this is still a tiny bubble of the nationwide and worldwide talent that are vying for these great careers that these kids dream about.
Yeah, I have a little personal motto that I said, live life to the fullest, because it's a million people out there who will die to live yours for you. And that's true. People don't even realize, to be a student at Velma Jackson right now, you are so blessed, because there are so many people, so many young people who don't have the opportunity to have amazing teachers such as you and the other staff that are there who actually care. When you have people who care and people who have been there and done that and who can talk to you about life, Take advantage. Being an educator is not just a job, it is an assignment. And you guys, I'm talking to the students now. You guys are so blessed to be able to speak with people who care and know about life and about jobs and about opportunities and about education, about all those things. Take advantage of that. Please do, because when you get in the real world, you'll realize how many people don't know a thing, did not have anybody. And we complain, because I know when I was in school, I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. Change your attitude. Do it all. Do it all.
Yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention, before because we're almost out of time, but I do want to mention this. You spoke at Alcorn recently with Latrice Rogers, at the Alcorn National Association of Black Journalists. The two people that headed that meeting were Velma Jackson alums, and that was Makala Brown and Delisha Banks, that both are both Velma Jackson alums that are in that mass communication program. So that's a perfect example of getting in a student organization. College and high school is not just about the grades. It's about networking, getting your name out there, getting your face in front of a camera, getting your resume out there, getting experience, because they've literally been all over the country working in their field already, and they got to meet you when you came there and spoke just a few months ago.
Oh my goodness. And they were so, look, y'all are doing something right over there, because they were just a cut above. They were so prepared. They were so ready. And that is what you need to be. Take life and take opportunities very seriously, because these years go by fast. They go by fast, and you'll look up and be like, dang, I should have done this. I should have done that. Don't ever feel like you don't regret not doing. Just do it. Just do it. Be fearless. And if you have something that you love or you are passionate about, figure out a way to get into it. And if you are a person that doesn't quite know what you want, just take time. Don't get flustered or in a rush. Don't get nervous. Just take a little time, because it's something in you. It's a talent. It's an interest that lives within you that you can make a living from. You really can make a great living from it.
Absolutely. It's got one more from the students. This is Michaela Davis, one of our volleyball players as well. She wants to be a nurse. She wants to go to Southern Miss and has a passion for labor and delivery nurse. And that's really what her heart is set on. I think she'll do great at it. But she asked, what's the biggest inspiration you've had in your life?
The biggest. Oh, yeah.
All right, so round 3, we had some technical difficulties, but again, our question was Michaela Davis, who wants to be a labor and delivery nurse at Southern Miss. She asked who your biggest inspiration was, just in your life.
You know what? I have to say it's my family. My family, because they are the driving force of my life. I don't do anything without considering my family. I love my family, obviously, but my family, they gave me all of the tools to me, in my opinion, to be able to do most of what I am able to do other than God. And God blessed me with them. I give them all the credit and I honor them, and I think about them because, when I do things, I consider them first. Like, oh my gosh, if I do something that wasn't so great, I'm like, oh my gosh, what will my daddy say? Oh my gosh, what is mama gonna say? My brother and sister, who are 10 and 11 years younger than me, I look to them when I need to know advice about something, how a particular campaign might look. I'll call them and be like, run this by me, because sometimes your family, they're your worst critic. They're gonna keep it real with you. And I love it. I love it because I know they're genuine. They inspire me every day.
That's awesome. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us today. But before we go, I really wanted to hit on the fact that, as successful as you are, you're still so humble, and you're just still so supportive of young people. And we've got to have you on campus next semester. But anyway,
Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. I got to tell you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. But yeah, we got to have you more than once. But anyway, one thing, you did have a great family, but you still faced obstacles being a Black woman in Mississippi. You face obstacles being a woman, period. It's always going to be things people have to go against. And these kids are going to face it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So, obviously we said everybody's not going to college. Everybody's not going to be a PR pro, but everybody can be successful. So what can these kids do now to face those obstacles that they are going to face when they leave high school to be just as successful as people like you?
I think you said it best. You have to know that you will face obstacles, and you have to be ready. You almost have to play it like a game. Like, okay, this is going to be tough. Just like football, basketball, anything. You're going to have opponents. You're going to have adversity. You're going to have things that fall into your lap that you won't be expecting. But how do you deal with it? How do you prepare? Is to really do that. Prepare. You have to have experience. You have to gain confidence. And I told you earlier, the best way to gain confidence is through experience. You're going to just have to know it's not going to be easy, but be so driven and so excited about who you are as a person that when you are faced with adversity and you are faced with obstacles, you're almost excited to beat their tail. Not literally, but I'm saying you're thinking like, I'm gonna win. I don't care what I gotta do. I'm gonna win. So obstacles then become almost, like I said, it's almost like a game. It's gonna come up. It's gonna be competition. It's gonna be adversity. It's gonna be things that are gonna throw you off. But watch how you deal with it and find pleasure in making sure that you beat it, making sure that you overcome it. Find pleasure in knowing that that is something that you absolutely are capable of doing. And how do you do that? Be prepared. Make a plan, prepare yourself, and then boom, execute that. That's my opinion on how to deal with things like that, because trust and believe, you are going to deal with some stuff that is going to shock you. You'll be surprised, but then you'll be even more surprised at how you find yourself dealing with it because you weren't scared. You were ready. You knew they were coming. The opponent he or she is coming, but you were ready. You were prepared.
Absolutely. Well, again, we thank you so much for joining us. We had the technical difficulties, but that was such
So
great.
sorry.
Such a cool. No, it's fine. We were glad you made some time for us. Such great information, and really, a great inspiration to young people to see that, you can do big things. You're from little bitty Vicksburg, Mississippi, but yet you're doing amazing things that aren't going to stop. And we are really looking forward to having you on campus. I can't wait to see you again.
Oh, thank you so much. You too. Please call me anytime you need me. You got me. Just holler. And I am honored and thankful that you even thought of me and considered me to speak to your precious, because I know how you feel about your students. I know.
Well,
I bring on anybody.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Melanie Sanders, fresh off the Beyonce concert, joining us today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Okay.